Hello everybody, welcome back to my studio and welcome if it's your first time. It's really great to have you here. I'm really enjoying making these films. I'm getting an awful lot out of doing them and I've learnt so much since I started. As those of you will know that watched my very early films, thank you very much for doing that because it's great to know that somebody was watching them. I did them with my phone in a very simple way and I had really no idea about where they were going to go and what they were going to be about, and it's kind of evolving as I go along. I think lockdown was a great boon for me personally. I know it's been a very difficult situation for a lot of people, but out of that came for me was a desire to perhaps share what I do, maybe if that would help people in some way, even if I'm just creating a relaxing video that you can just watch and switch off from everything else for a little while, then I think that's a really nice thing to do. I was chatting to a friend this morning when I went shopping, and you'll know who you are if you're watching this. And we had such a really nice conversation about creativity really, and well, education and creativity and all sorts of things really. And one of the things we were sort of saying was what she fed back to me what really was that although she doesn't want to do what I'm doing, she doesn't want to do free machine embroidery or anything like that. She actually wants to do hand stitching, I think she said tapestries, and she loves knitting. Was how first of all my videos were nice and relaxing to watch, but also that they were perhaps the way I was playing with colours and playing with fabrics was showing her that perhaps there was other possibilities than just following a pattern, and she could perhaps branch out and maybe start to do something of her own creation. And I thought, oh, that was so wonderful. I was so grateful to have that as feedback, because in my workshops when I teach people face to face, my aim, well, somebody once asked me what my aim was of a workshop, and I kind of went, ooh, I don't have anything formal, but really I just want you to enjoy yourself and come out of it with something more than you knew when you were, when you arrived here, and that you will feel confident, perhaps in a way that you didn't know you were going to feel confident. I have had people go out from my workshops saying, wow, I didn't know I could do that. Because my aim is really, I do teach, yes, I teach sort of specific things like how to do a particular technique, or how to use a particular material or something like that, but really my main aim is to get the creativity which I think we all have within us, and it may not come out as art as such. Art is this thing which people see as something in a gallery, a picture in a gallery, hang on a wall, but actually creativity to me is really about how we live our lives, and whether it's in gardening or cooking or whatever it is that you do that you feel brings out some creativity in you. So I actually wrote down, I thought I'd just write this little bit down, because I thought actually for me the way I feel about it is that art is like life, and it's a process. It's not about where you're going necessarily, but it's about how you get there and the choices that you make on the way. And I think what I do here is very much about that. So thank you for the feedback that I've had to these videos, and if you're watching them, thank you so much for that. If you want to leave me a comment, please do so. I'm really happy to reply to you, as long as there's not thousands of you, which I know there aren't. Not yet anyway, you never know. Or if there's anything particular you'd like to watch, then just let me know. It's great to know that you're out there. I think one of the things I wanted to talk about this afternoon is what I do with my waste bits and pieces. Because I have an embellishing machine, I'm able to take scraps of fabric, so a basket like this which is left over from a project that I've just finished. I can take those fabrics and store them up, and then I can use them with my embellishing machine. Threads, I think quite a few of you might know, because I do post about this, is I keep all the threads and all my bits and pieces, little leftovers, that's got bits of fabric in as well, but usually this tends to be jars of threads like this, which again I keep because I think I can use those with my embellishing machine. Or again, I will show you a technique where you don't actually need an embellishing machine. Literally, I took a mattress I took an old mattress of ours to the tip recently, and I was very put off because they said, oh, that can't be recycled, that has to go into landfill. So I drove home with it and thought, no, it's not going into landfill. So I actually took it to bits, and inside was this really beautiful fabric. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's this it's almost like, I suppose it's felted really, it's been machined together. It's all the little scraps of fibres that have presumably been ground down and turned into this fabric, which I'm actually keeping because I don't quite know what to do with it. It's too nice to throw it away. Perhaps I'll wash it and I'll embellish and turn it into things, who knows. But it's the sort of idea that you can take from any project. I have a big, let me see this huge box here. I have bags here with all my scraps in. So this is the really tiny bits that probably most people would throw away. But I can take them and I can use them. And I love it because you get this really mad mix of colours. I've got all sorts of, I've got some turquoise ones here, all sorts of blues in there, all kinds of fabrics, all different natures of fabrics, from organzas to lace to velvet, whatever I've been using and chopping up. So that's got some lovely bright green in that one. So at the end of a project, I will end up with a basket like this. So this was the landscape that I did the other week, the very bright landscape. And this is just full of a real mingle of fabrics. Now I can take it like that and use it and turn that into something, or sometimes what I do is I will separate them back out into the colours again, which is quite a nice process. I quite enjoy that as part of my kind of tidying up in the studio process, because it does get pretty messy in here, as I'm sure you'll understand. So I was just thinking that maybe I would show you a way of making something out of your scraps, that you don't have to just throw things away, and you could recycle them into something pretty for yourself. Okay, so I've just cut a little piece of backing fabric, which is nice and soft. I think this is a piece of quilt batting, as they call it, which is what you'd use for if you're doing quilting. Something like curtain interlining would do just as well, or maybe a piece of felt. It's quite nice and soft, and I know that the fabrics are going to sort of stitch into here quite nicely, and it's quite soft, because I was thinking maybe I could try making a little thing for your wrist, or it might just be a sample, who knows. So in my lovely jar here, I've got all these lovely sort of snippety bits, which I'm just going to sort of turn out. This jar's got more threads in than that one has, I think, so what I'm going to do is just have a little tease out and see what I've got, and I'm just going to start snipping things onto here, and it's going to be like making a cake, really, where you don't quite know what your ingredients are going to be, and you don't quite know how the cake's going to turn out. You don't quite know what kind of cake you're making, really. It's just more playtime. This is what I really enjoy doing, because it's just playing. And every time I do this, it will be different, because I'll be using a different mix of fabrics. I've got some little bits of other fabrics from over here, which are from another project. So I'm just going to pop some of that in there as well. There's little snippets here and there. It's just going to layer up, and as I say, I don't know what it's going to do, especially if I use my embellishing machine, which really crunches everything together. In fact, I'm just going to put that on top of there like that, and I'm going to be really very random with this. I'm going to let this jar of goodies just become what it will become. I'm not going to control it, really. I'm not trying to put particular colours in. I've got some nice snippets of gold there. Maybe a bit of turquoise thread would be nice to mix into it. Spread those up. If you take your threads and you just sort of split them up like that, that kind of works quite nicely. You could use a base fabric that's got colour to it. If you don't mind the creamy colour showing through, that's okay. But you could put a base fabric to it as well. A nice little bit of squiggly yarn there, which I should put on top of there. Okay, a bit of gold and a bit more gold. And there's a little bit more thread here, a bit of dark thread. I'm not sure if I want that. Although it could look quite nice over here. Let's spread that out over here, and we'll put a bit of that there. So look at that, what fun it is doing that. It's like, you know, just really back to school, back to play school, playing with your bits and bobs. No thought in my head except what's it going to look like when I finish. Oh, I've got a bit of this. Oh, I know. Yes. I was going to put a bit of this in, more of this lime green, just to sharpen it up a little bit. And you have to bear in mind, when you use an embellishing machine, it will take a piece of fabric like that and it will scrunch it up. So if you've got organza, so something like this, which is organza, I don't know if you can see that, that gets really scrunched up very nicely. So you have to cut your pieces a little bit bigger than perhaps you would normally, but it does mix things really beautifully. So I will embellish this, I think, and I'll show you how that works if you haven't seen a needle felting machine before. But also I was thinking that if you don't have a needle felting machine, which, you know, fair enough, not everybody has, you could simply make this sort of, this, I suppose it's like a potpourri. Take this is water soluble fabric. This is, it looks like plastic, but it's a bit like, you know, the modern day plastics now that are coming in that are starch based. That's basically what it is, and that will dissolve when you put water on it. So you could place that across the top of that, pin that in place, and put that underneath your sewing machine to do some really nice free machine embroidery. But I thought I would actually show you my embellisher for this. So I shall take it over to the embellisher next and give it a quick whiz, and we'll see what happens.